Direct misfire, talking mini war games. Bensome and Spoon are taking aim. Comment, like, and subscribe today, keeping you notified and up to date.
Before the time of ice, during the semblance of normality that followed the Cod War, the reptilian clan lords forged themselves a sprawling and prosperous empire deep in the lush jungles and beltful plains of the central equatorial belt. The reptilians spread to the seas where, against all odds, they excelled as a seafaring force and grew a feared and powerful navy. One clan lord eventually rose above them all and was to become their greatest and most influential ruler, her name revered across all of time. Today, she is celebrated as the savior of her race. Thorlak the Deliverer was the oldest hatchling, born to the clan of Fire in a clutch of precious royal eggs. The casing of the egg which bore her was larger, paler, and smoother than the others, and would have stood out just for these differences, but it was the dark red swirling pattern that writhed down one side of the shell that had the clutch mothers both excited and terrified in equal measure. It was a sign, they said, an omen. This one would be different.
Hello champs, and welcome once again to another one of our army breakdowns. Joining me today as always is Spoon and old mate Sellick as we tackle the Salamanders. So pull up a seat, grab a bevo, and let's get into it. Hello fellas, how you going?
Yeah, good mate.
Yeah, not too bad mate.
Good. Here again, it's been a while since our last army review. Need to get some of that rust off the gears.
Definitely.
That was the last one we did Varango, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Alright, so I'll kick it off. We'll start off with the army special rule as always. The Salamanders, they're the good alignment, and they have the special rule Flames of Thorlak, which essentially gives all units in the list crushing strength 1 unless specified otherwise. Another thing that you need to note with Salamanders is all the infantry models in the list are on 25 by 25mm bases unless specified, so all the big fellas are 25mm like the old fantasy lizardmen. So their hordes and standard Salamander regiments are quite chunky. But enough of that, let's get on to the actual meat and taters of the army. First one off the list is the Salamander Primes. So this is your standard core for the army. They come in Troop, Regiment and Horde. Speed 5, Melee 4, no ranged, Defense 5, 10 attacks, 12 and 25 attacks on the Troop, Regiment and Horde, with nerve ratings of 10, 12, 14, 16 and 21, 23. Points are fairly standard for that, 100, 140 and 230 respectively. And they've also got the Pathfinder special rule, which I think is a carryover from the Forces of Nature, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think so, yeah.
They also have the option to exchange their shields to two-handed weapons, dropping them to Defense 4, but upping them to Crushing Strength 2. So what do you guys think about this unit?
Yeah, I think they're a pretty solid run-of-the-mill unit. I don't think I'd be taking the Crushing Strength 2 with the other items in the list that we'll get onto later, but a nice big horde of that with Pathfinder, it's quite handy.
But Crushing 2, Defense 4 on a horde, 25 attacks Crushing 2 with a high nerve wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, I just think that there's other items or other units in the list that probably do the same job, and I think this is more of the anvil in the unit.
Right, so keep them Defense 5.
I tend to agree. Defense 5 would be the way I'd go.
Would you ever consider troops?
Not with Speed 5, I don't think.
It's a bit too slow.
Yeah, there's a lot of slow other units around, so probably no for me. How about you, Spoon?
No, I don't think so. I think if you're talking chaff-wise, Benson? Yeah. No, I think I'd take other units in the list.
The Regiment seems like a good option. 14-16 nerve, defense 5, 140 points is fairly standard.
I think that's pretty good.
Don't expect them to blow anything away with their 12 attacks, but it's a nice solid unit for unlocks as well. I've tried them with the Horde, and it is hard to maneuver. I mean, Pathfinder helps, but it's such a large unit. You just kind of want to push it forward or hold something up, really.
So I think for me, that's exactly what its job is. Just move it up, occupy space, let stuff charge into it, waste their attacks, and then counter-attack. As far as items goes, I think a little bit of nimble on this unit wouldn't go astray, or the +1 to hit.
It starts getting to be a very expensive unit. Throw a nimble on it though. What is it? What's nimble worth? 45? 40?
It's like, yeah, something like that. Anyway, it's 270 plus.
Yep.
For a horde.
For a nimble horde. Yeah, I don't know about items. If I was to put anything, it might just be defensive.
Yeah.
I don't know about speed. Pathfinder's nice. I don't know. Warbow. If we're using the new rules, maybe the one that disorders.
Oh, yep.
The Sparkstone?
Sparkstone, yep.
Yeah, that's probably
Because
not
these
a bad
guys aren't
item.
moving forward. Just sit back and ping things. I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe. Alright, whatever. Sellick, how about you go the Unblooded?
Yep, so the Salamander Unblooded, so it comes in Troop, Regiment and Horde. Speed 5, Melee 4, no range, Defense 4, attacks 10, 12 and 25. And the nerves are 9/11, 13/15 and 20/22. The points there accordingly, so 80, 115 and 190. For me, these are just the cheaper options, so if you're ever going to go chaff, you wouldn't pick the primes, in my opinion, you would pick one of these. So they don't come with any extra options. They also lose their Pathfinder, but they are a little bit cheaper and a little bit more easy to break as well.
Yes, I mean, it's only slightly lower nerve just by 1. Defense is down to 4. You could, if you wanted to, give these the crushing strength magic artifact, and they become cheaper than the Salamander primes with the crushing strength 2, but still the same defense. The only thing you're missing out on is 1 pip of nerve, but you're also dropping points.
I don't particularly think too much of this unit. They're in between 2 units that can do the same job, if not better.
As throwaway units for the troop, probably not. Regiments, same deal with the primes, just points efficiency really. If you're looking to save some points right at the end of your list, you could maybe swap out the primes for Unblooded, but obviously you're dropping effectiveness there for points. But same deal.
Very odd unit.
Yeah, without having the points issue, I can't see myself putting these in a list.
Obviously no magic items then. Unless are you going to put the bomb on them, maybe?
I was thinking that. The crystal pendant of awesomeness.
Yeah, I don't think they have the fighting ability. Hitting on 4s. Defense 4 is what really worries me there. I know it's still average.
It's high nerve, and it's not like it's 40 points less than the primes.
Yeah, I think I'd really have to be struggling for points to put these guys in.
Yeah.
Alright, how about you continue on with the Ceremonial Guard?
Will do, because these guys are pretty cool. Well, I think so anyway. They come in troops and regiments. Speed 5, melee 4, defense 5, 10 and 15 attacks. Nerve at 10/12 and 14/16 at 110 and 160 points. And you get the Phalanx special rule.
So crushing strength 1, Phalanx, more attacks than the primes, but you can't take a horde. And no Pathfinder.
No Pathfinder.
What size unit are we taking here?
I'd be going regiment. Bit more nerve.
110 for a troop is probably a waste. I mean, you're using Phalanx, so trying to stop a cavalry charge, but I don't think that nerves is going to hold up, even if they don't have their Thunderous.
Yeah.
So regiment or go home.
You know, it's smaller point games. Troops might be viable-ish, maybe. Like 1,000-point game, 2,000 point.
1,000-point game, that's what I'll be taking troops of Unblooded then.
Yep.
Can litter the field and still pack a few hits.
Yeah, 10 points less than you're only losing Phalanx with the troops, so and you're losing Pathfinder. So I don't know, if I was ever to make the decision, it would be regiment or go home, or if you're going to go the troops, you may as well save the 10 points and stay with the Salamander primes and spend 10 points on an item.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, we go to the next Salamander Infantry. The Ancients, troop and regiment only, so no horde once again, like the Ceremonial Guard. Speed 5, melee 3, no ranged, defense 5, 10 and 12 attacks, which is standard, but these guys are fearless with fearless 13 and 17 on the regiment. These guys will set you back 120 points for the troop and 170 for the regiment. Like the primes, you can exchange their shields for two-handed weapons, dropping them from defense 5 to 4, give them crushing 2. Not sure about these guys. I like the idea of them. I mean, Fearless 17 is great. I wouldn't drop their defense if I was taking them because high nerve, higher defense, in my mind, is better. They're not a power choice for offense, even though it's melee 3, it's not very many attacks. No Pathfinder, keeping on with flank by themselves is probably not a wise choice either, so getting a flank might be a bit harder unless you're good at your maneuvering and you're taking a lot of smaller unit options, but there's a lot of situations there, a lot of what ifs. Too expensive for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree. The melee 3 makes you raise your eyebrows a little bit and have a bit more of a look at them as a viable option, but then at the end of the day you put them back to the Salamander primes and the points just don't add up for me.
Yeah, Regiments 30 points cheaper on the primes and probably doing similar amounts of offensive power, and these guys, the primes, again, Pathfinder, which is just a great rule. As magic items, Healing Brew.
Yeah, maybe.
When in doubt, 5-point item.
Yeah, I wouldn't be putting anything on them.
Ranged weapon, maybe.
What's the one from the new book that gives you a vicious and elite for a turn? Blood of the Old King, maybe?
The Blood of the Old King, yep.
Isn't that like 15 points or something?
15 points, yep.
Yeah, that might be alright.
Yeah, could do.
Yeah, if you had to.
That'll just put him near 200 points, and then, pass on to something else.
There's a lot of umming and ahhing over here.
Yeah, that's right. Alright, next.
Right. Next straight over to the Corsairs, another infantry unit. Only comes in a troop. Speed 5, melee 4, range 5, defense 4, 10 attacks, and nerve is 10-12 for 115 points with the special rules of piercing 1, pistols, and vanguard. So, I don't know, this one here, obviously...
I want these guys to be good. I mean,
Yep.
they're lizards with guns. I like that idea, these pirate lizards, but it's just as they are now, I don't know how I would make them work.
Yeah, I don't know how else to look at these. They vanguard forward now, so looking at 10-12 nerve for 115 points. Somebody's just going to look at them and have a slight sneeze in that general direction and they're going to die.
Yeah.
So for 115 points, not for me.
And spoilers, there is a living legend which we'll get to much later on, which kind of sync up with the Corsairs and make them a bit better. But still, I don't know if that's worth it. But again, we'll get to that when we get to that. Magic items, what do you reckon?
It's already too expensive for a troop.
Yeah.
So if you had 5 points and this was the only unit left, maybe.
Yeah. If I was to take them, I would keep them naked. I'll probably take 2, maybe 3 units of these and have them running about, hopefully shoot something and annoy the opponent so something big can get behind and whack them when these guys die, because they're certainly not going to outmaneuver their way to victory.
Yeah, they don't put out enough range at damage anyway, so...
Ranged 5, it's only, 12-inch range, piercing 1, pretty short range, and then they'll get charged.
Yep.
Just because there's some better choices for that kind of unit just below, which we'll get to shortly. How about you kick us off with the Gecko Tar Warriors?
Right. These guys come in troops, regiments, and hordes. Speed 6, melee 5, no ranged attack. Defense 3, 15, 20, and 30 attacks. Nerve comes in at 8/10, 12/14, and 19/21 at 70, 100, and 165 points. Special rules, these guys have vicious, and they're also on 20 mil bases rather than 25 like the Salamanders. And they don't get the crushing strength 1 bonus.
I like these guys.
Yep.
They're one of my favourite units in the army. The high attacks high number of attacks is what does it for me. Sure, their defense is low, but who cares? If something's got crushing strength, then who cares? Just
doesn't
go
matter
after
anyway.
their highest powerful thing. That's right. Nerve is meh, but still you're paying hardly anything for them. And there's been quite a few times where I've been able to get into the flanks of my opponent's units with these guys. They're slightly faster than the other fellas, and 40 attacks, even though they're hitting on 5, still can lay the hurt, which is surprising.
So you're running these only in regiments in your lists, Bensome?
Sometimes I take them in troops because they're one of the cheapest, fairly decent chaff units. Yeah, they could blow away, but they just want to hold a charge. It's not like they're going to overrun and hit something else, your opponent. And it's 70 points. I don't know if there's anything cheaper in the list. I don't think there is.
No.
You would
Sometimes I will take them in troop.
Have you taken them in horde at all?
No, not yet. And that's just because I didn't want to get all the figures out and put them on a horde tray. So it's just been regiments.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I'm willing, and I would. 165 points for a 19, 21, 30 attack horde is pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm sure the psychology will unnerve some people, seeing if you tell them this unit's got 30 attacks, who cares if it's melee 5, they'll try and put a lot of effort into taking it off or avoiding it, and that's just a win for you for 165 points.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, I love these in a troop. Having dealt with small units very similar to this, that 15 attacks, you've got to deal with them, because as you said there, Bensome, 15 attacks in the flank up to 30, and then you just have to add one, either like a weakness or chuck on Bane Chant, and all of a sudden they're a bit of a threat, and you had to deal with them. And for 70 points, I think making people think is undervalued. So I like them for 70 points as a troop, not sold on Regiment or Horde personally.
2 troops gives you the same amount of attacks, but for a cheaper cost, 25 points less than a Horde. The nerve kind of almost, not quite, equals up to a Horde, but
it's the shooting. I think as we go through the rest of the list, you'll find that the defense, well, as you already know, the defense is quite a big weakness across the list. So I think drawing people to attack things like Gecko Tar warriors is really valuable. Like just absorbing those shots.
I mean, there's a few defense 5 things in this list.
Yeah,
certainly more than a couple of others. But yeah, it's cheap defense 3 guys, great for soaking up shots. Who cares if they die?
Yep. General pain in the ass. That's what they are.
Yep. Magic items. I don't want to put anything expensive on these guys.
I'd be saying Sparkstone or whatever you come up with before the disorder item from the new book.
Yep.
Maybe not on a troop, maybe on a regiment, because I could just see that
Would
item
you go
disappearing.
the +2 defense item for a turn?
That could be good on a horde.
Yeah.
20 points, maybe on a Horde. I'd be going a 5-point item on a troop, and maybe if I took a Horde for some strange reason,
Because you're forced.
yeah, I don't know. I'd be just taking a 5-point ranged item on a troop, personally.
Okay, let's move over to their ranged cousins, the Gecko Tar Hunters. Now, these are irregular. They only come in troops, and these are a bit faster than their warrior brethren. Speed 7, melee 5, which is the same, range 5, defense 3, 8 attacks with a nerve of 10/12 for 100 points. So points go up a fair bit. And what does that get you? It gives you blowpipes. They're just thrown weapons. They also have nimble, Pathfinder, as well as vicious. Again, 20 mil bases like the warriors, and also no crushing strength for those guys. And you got a couple of options to make them more expensive. You can give them stealthy for 10 points, or you can swap the blowpipes for bows, giving them a range of 24, but losing out on the thrown weapon benefits for 20 points. Hard sell that one, I think, for 8 attacks, range 5.
If they had Vanguard.
You could give them the item, couldn't you?
I think that's
isn't
only
Vanguard
characters.
only hero? Yeah.
Yeah, it's only characters, I think.
Okay, right. Well, I like these naked anyway. Stealthy, I probably wouldn't worry about it. I mean, if they take a couple of hits, there's a good chance they're running anyway, so
Yep.
what, you
I
might
would-
save one? Nah.
I'd be keeping them naked. I think they're good enough as is. Putting anything else on them just makes them too expensive for what they're going to achieve, I think.
What are they going to achieve?
They run and hit things. Speed 7 nimble with Pathfinder. They get around units pretty well, apart from flying characters and individuals and whatnot.
Holding objectives in late turns if they haven't been attacked.
Yeah, speed 7 and nimble, that's the best thing about them. With thrown weapons so they can move and shoot.
I don't know if... I can't remember how the new scoring system works for scenarios, though. I don't know what a troop's worth.
I think they might be worth 1.
Troops
okay.
worth 1. Regiments 2 and Hordes and Legions 3.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
the war machines and individuals that aren't
They're
worth
0.
anything.
Yep.
Okay, there you go.
But they can still sit on markers or pick up loot counters or whatever.
And they do move.
Quite
Yep.
reliably, and then they just get shot and die, but that's not the point. I think they're pretty good for 100 points. I wouldn't want them any cheaper, wouldn't want them any more expensive. I think that's a sweet spot.
Yep.
Take a couple of units if you can afford it. If you're just after chuff, go the Warriors.
Yep. Move on?
Yes, let's move on. How about we go for our first break, because that is the end of the infantry portion of this army review. We'll be back shortly, and we'll talk about the things that aren't infantry. Back in a sec.
Her rise to power as the leader of the dominant clan was auspicious as it was timely. Within months of Cthulhu taking up her new post, the world was thrown into chaos. The skies darkened and flickered with streaks of coruscating lightning. The seas heaved and roiled, and the air began to chill as crops, livestock, and prey dwindled and withered. The weak and vulnerable began to die. The seas shrank, and a terrible cold swept the land, poisoning the earth and leaching the life from the world. From the north and the east, the great glaciers came, driving all before their implacable advance. Riding at the vanguard of the walls of ice were hordes of foul and unspeakable things intent on destroying all in their path. Winter was waging her war in the world.
Alright, welcome back. Alright, so we're going to jump straight into the Calvary and large infantry next, and I'll kick us off with the Centaur Lancers.
Kaizenor.
Damn
You
it.
practiced it and you just said it wrong.
So, Kaizenor?
Continue. That's
Kaizenor.
it.
Alright.
Ting.
Bring us back with the Kaizenor Lancers. There we go. So these guys come as troops and regiments. Speed 8, melee 4, no range, defense 4, 9 attacks and 18 attacks. And nerve 11, 13 and 14, 16. And the points there at 110 and 170 respectively. So special rules, these guys come with Thunderous Charge 1 and obviously Crushing Strength 1 as well. What do you think?
Before you go, under Clash of Kings, they get vicious as well.
Vicious, very true.
Which makes them a bit better. I think these are good. These are kind of like the Abyssal Half-Breeds, but not. So same kind of melee defense for same attacks, nerve. No regen though, so they're a bit rubbish in that respect. But regiments of these guys can put out a lot, especially if you give them the Crushing 1 item, so they're Crushing 2, Thunderous 1. The extra speed is also catches people off. Speed 9 cavalry is always good.
Pathfinder's always good.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on these guys though, just because we have things that may need it later.
Yeah, true.
But if you don't, yeah, Pathfinder's always good on cavalry because of the speed, and make sure you get your Thunderous Charge and that can actually hit something with melee 4 instead of 5 being hindered. I wouldn't put very many other expensive items on there.
No, I'm thinking maybe something like the Blood of the Old King could be good on these, just because there is 18 attacks.
What's the blood again?
15 points, elite and vicious, but then
For a
again it's
turn.
already
They
got
have vicious, yeah. If you're using the other rules, the amendments.
Yeah.
Then you can just stick elite permanently on them if you want. Don't be afraid when that you might be doing something wrong if they die, because that's what they do. Defense 4, they die. You might get 1 or 2 good charges if you're lucky, and then they die.
Yeah, the big points here is the speed 8, isn't it?
Yes.
So even at troops, 110 points. It's a long charge for quite a good output. So
Yeah. Other than that, leave them be.
Yep.
Take 2 regiments if you can afford it.
Yep.
But you also make sure that you kind of hide them, screen them if you can, because again, defense 4.
Bit of a glass cannon.
Yeah. Alright, so we can take your pick.
I will go down to the Tyrants. These guys are large infantry, come in regiments and hordes. Speed 5, melee 4, defense 5, 9 and 18 attacks. Nerve is 12/15 and 15/18 at 135 and 210 points. For these guys, you get the following special rules. You get Brutal, Crushing Strength 2, and Fury.
This is your hammer, people.
It is a hammer. It is one of the hammers. So the big salamanders, in my experience, I've always taken a horde of these guys and they've always done really poorly in combat, just because for some reason my tyrants attract 1s and 2s.
So you fluff your dice.
Yeah, so I found elite to be okay on these guys to make sure that they actually hit.
Yep.
But I like them. It's a higher nerve than normal. Defense 5 is always good. Crushing 2 is pretty good. With Fury is pretty good. And Brutal.
Yeah, Brutal's
Can't
big,
really go wrong. Screen them with some geckos so they can see overhead. Screen them with gecko hunters so they can nimble their way out of a charge and the tyrants can charge in.
Yeah, I also think like combo charge with the Salamander Primes over the back. I think they get pretty handy. And just keeping, I think it's the +1 nerve item as well. I forget what that's called. But yeah, I think that around
The item of +1.
the item of +1 nerve. I think that would also be handy to be around, probably not on them, but all of a sudden you bump that up to 16, 19.
Oh, you're talking...
Are you talking about the Griffin, the rallying?
Yeah, the Griffin. Banner of
Right,
Griffin.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just on somebody nearby, I think just bumping that nerve up to 16, 19 just makes
That's
them
pretty
look a
cool.
lot better.
Yeah.
And then I think, as you said, elite or even +1 to hit, even if the points they're already an expensive unit, you just got to look after them, I think.
Yes. Defense 5 may serve you well, but again, depends on what your opponent wants to take, and if these guys want to die, then I'll just focus fire and die. But yeah,
That's it.
otherwise, good unit. Another good alternative to the Tyrants are the Fire Elementals. How about you tell us about them, Spoon?
Okay. These guys are large infantry as well. Come in regiments and hordes. Speed 6, melee 4, defense 5. Attacks are 9 and 18. These guys are fearless, so fearless 14 and 17 at 130 and 200 points. Special rules, crushing strength 2, pathfinder and shambling.
I like them. They're like the Tyrants, slightly cheaper. Crushing 2 is the same, but Pathfinder is pretty cool. And you can do your shamble nanigans as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a build. I think you would look at this list and you would build an army around shambling.
Yeah. Fearless is always good.
You're taking both Tyrants and Elementals in one list, Ben?
Usually it's one or the other
One or the
because
other, yeah.
they're similar.
It's pretty expensive as well.
Yeah. If I've got fire elementals, I'll usually take the big guy as well, the greater fire elemental with a mage or 2. Otherwise, it's the Tyrants and some cavalry instead. And maybe just a greater fire elemental just for the look of it, because they're a bit cheaper than standard.
Yep.
I usually don't put any items on these guys either. They don't really need it.
No, they're pretty solid.
Yeah. Boots, maybe. Well, not the boots, the Brew of Haste. I keep saying boots.
Yeah,
they walk faster, so they're boots.
Speed 7 instead of 6. That's a good one. Yeah.
And it gives you longer charges.
Yep.
Other than that, no.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else I'd put on them.
Okay, so we'll move on from the large infantry to the very small large infantry who are also on fire, the Embers Freights. These guys are a regular large infantry which are also height 0. Regiment and horde like most small large infantry. Speed 5, melee 5, no range, defense 3, 6 and 12 attacks. Nerve is 10, 12, 13, 15 with a cost of 80 and 125 on the horde. These guys have a breath attack as well. Height 0 like I mentioned with vicious. No crushing strength on the tiny little fire Embers Freights. I don't know about these guys.
I love these guys. If these were in Empire of Dust, I'd take them every day of the week.
Why?
Breath weapon on a swarm. That'd be amazing.
It's only 6.
They're just going to get in the way. They're just going to get in the way and die. If they can breathe before they die, that's brilliant. They're only 10 points more expensive.
Would you not take like the Gecko Hunters who have a better range?
It depends on the list. Yeah, probably.
And they're cheaper.
But I'm talking if this sort of thing was in Empire of Dust. These guys, maybe, I don't know. If I was taking lots of fire elementals, maybe.
Just for the theme.
Yeah, for the theme. Or a breath weapon heavy list, because you've got other big fire breathing stuff later on. Don't know.
Yeah, I like these over the Hunters, personally. I know they're a little bit slower, but the breath attacks, even if they are just 6 and 12,
still hitting on
it's another
fours.
one. Yeah, so I know. I'm not even going to say it. It should be more reliable than the Hunters, and I don't know. There's something about them. I think they look pretty cool, and I think you could probably make a nice army out of the fire elementals, the Ember Sprites, as well as maybe some of the drakes flying around later on that we'll cover. But the other thing there is, I don't know. It's another one of those units that you've got to, even though they're easy to kill, you've got to pay attention to it, or else all of a sudden those 2 or 3 wounds chipping away, they could be the dice in it that turn 5 and 6 that take
Regiment
big
or
units.
horde?
Regiment for me.
Personally, Reggie, yeah.
Never horde?
Maybe in a themed list.
I'd be very
Yeah, 80
reluctant.
points for a fire-breathing chaff unit is pretty good. Height 0, so everything can see over it. That's pretty good. And they're going to die, so who cares?
Yeah.
Magic items?
Done.
Nah.
Alright. Sellick, you can take the next one.
Yeah, great. The Gecko Tar, how do we go there?
Yep,
Got
sounds
it.
fine.
The Gecko Tar Skyraiders. So they come they come in Regiment and Horde. Speed 10, melee 4, range 4, defense 3, attacks 6 and 12, and nerve 12, 14, and 15, 17, and the points 130 and 200. So these guys come with bow pipes, just as throwing weapons. They fly, they're vicious, and they do not get the crushing strength 1.
No crushing strength for you.
No crushing strength. So I like these guys. They're not too bad. The issue I've got with them is just pretty low attacks, but depends how you're going to use them.
Well, you don't want to get them in combat, really. Range 4, so you just stay out and throw stuff at things.
You wouldn't throw them at war machines?
Well, if they left it open, sure.
Yeah.
And that's how I see this unit, to be honest. I think they're going to be one of those annoying units that, while they're trying to kill everything else, all of those little Embers Freights regiments that Spoon's got, this unit will get away with it purely around you're going to have to dedicate and move and look at it and then shoot it. And it's got slightly higher nerve than some of the other throwaway units, but once again, defense 3. Ugh.
Yes, yeah. And they're large cav too, so it should be easy to spot and have something thrown at its head, causing a nerve check, causing a waiver.
Yep, so Regiment or Horde or both or either.
I think Horde may be a bit too much for what they do. Defense 3, I mean, any sort of decent round of shooting, even from one unit, could send them off the board.
Yep.
I would prefer to take them in regiments only.
Yeah, I would only take them in regiments. Harassment unit, kill war machines, maybe disorder a mage that's hanging about somewhere it shouldn't be.
So as a Horde, I mean, 15, 17 nerve is okay. Yeah, the defense is pretty crap. But with the speed, you might be able to get a flank or even rear. And that's a decent amount of attacks. They fight better than standard Gecko Tar units, because they're melee 4, not 5.
I just think the footprint is too big, and for such a fragile unit, hiding them from anything that's going to shoot at them is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I think it all comes back to, for me, is their speed worth the points when you compare it against perfect 1-for-1 with the Fire and Mental Horde? And I don't think it, like, the nerve racks up, but I think the survivability just doesn't. I think it's too weak, and people would definitely be attacking it given the size.
You could keep them behind other large things in the list, like the next one that we're going to speak about, which is also large cav and probably more of a threat. And then fang these guys out turn 3 or 4 for flanks, war machine destruction and whatnot.
Possibility, yeah.
Yeah.
I always toss up in my lists whether to take these guys or the character version, which is fairly similar.
Yeah.
Character version also giving you the benefit of having a much smaller footprint.
Yep. And
inspiring to geckos only, but still. And usually fights a bit better.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't see myself taking anything larger than a regiment, and even then, I think there's better options.
No magic items on these guys for me.
None.
No, they're already too expensive.
Alright, so we'll round off this list with the big fellas that usually appear in a lot of lists. The Ancients on Rhinosaurs. Large cavalry, regiment and horde size, speed 7, melee 3, defense 5, 9 and 18 attacks with fearless 15 and 18 for a whopping 180 or 275 on the horde.
Boom.
This will get you brutal, crushing 2 and thunderous charge 2.
These guys are scary.
Yeah, they're pretty beefy. 18 attacks and you get no defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
Unless you're hindered, but still, crushing 2 is pretty good for most cases.
Yeah.
With brutal.
But you do pay for it.
Yeah.
Yep. Melee 3 is great. Defense 5 is pretty good. They usually cop a lot of fire from your opponent because they see, oh, bugger, if this thing gets in, then it's probably going to die. So you need to screen these guys with crap units. The speed 7 I always find is a factor for them not getting in. It's either they can't maneuver around things because they're not nimble, or they don't have Pathfinder, or I'm just short because of the speed 7 when other cavalry is speed 8, so they can get charged first. So it's all to do with the placement of your rubbish units in front of them and being able to get them out of the way so these guys can charge.
I wouldn't even look at regiments personally. I would look at hordes, and then just, that's going to be a big charge.
Yeah.
It needs it.
9 attacks is a bit much for 180 points.
Yeah.
Right, so I think we've all written off the regiment. and we'd all take the Horde. Obviously, with a big unit like this, would you take artifacts? If so, which one?
Pathfinder and Speed.
Yep.
Would be my two choices.
2 artifacts of choice right there. I usually go Speed just because it helps out a lot. Pathfinder,
So
yeah, it's a close second because then you don't have to worry too much about terrain.
it saves your thunder. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's not just the thunder, it's being able to at the double through terrain,
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
which catches you out.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit different and go with the Blood of the Old King. So purely, so I think
Haven't you said that item before?
I'm going to say it like 9 times in this list. That's
Just
how
to be
good it is.
different.
So why I reckon is we've already got a lot of Pathfinder units, or there is other Pathfinder units that you could probably get through and position well when you're deploying. But I think this unit here doesn't want to be charged. I know it's got high nerve, but it's also one that you want there at turn 5 and 6 and potentially 7. And I think just getting that charge off and your charge when you want to push the button, the Blood of the Old King will literally take a unit off with this unit. So hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s, almost wounding on 2s, re-rolling 1s, with 18 attacks, that should smash a hole in most people.
I think I just missed something that could be quite important with the Skyraiders we were talking about just before. With the Clash of Kings amendment and the scoring, having a flying horde scoring 3 points for positional scenarios
True.
could be pretty good. Because then you can just fly in at last turn and get those 3 points.
If you can hide them, you could
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
But are you going to hide 200 points?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
Alright. I'm not judging you.
I can hear the judgment in your voice, Sellick. It's full of judge. Anyways, back to the Ancients. Yes, they're good.
You're very
Is
scary.
there anything else that anyone wants to say about them?
Nah.
No,
Not
I
for
don't
me.
think so.
Okie doke. How about we take our second break, if I can count. Yep, second break.
2 comes after 1.
2 comes after 1. That's correct. Have a gold star. We'll be back shortly.
The mage priests and battle captains fell back under the onslaught. Few escaped the carnage, and those that did continued their flight into the west. With her people beset by hunger, cold, and the advancing armies of winter, Thorlak ordered the mass evacuation from the cities and surrounding lands. Many stayed behind in defiance of their encroaching doom, selling their lives dearly to give their people time to flee. A titanic battle was fought outside the gates of the great temple city in Hellthorn, as the 14 reptilian cohorts that had stayed behind fought back Winter's ravenous legions. The cohorts inevitably succumbed, but their noble sacrifice had brought Thorlak the time she needed to make good their escape.
And we're back. We're going to get straight back into it. We're going to jump into monsters. We'll go with the Greater Fire Elemental. This guy is Speed 6, Melee 4, no ranged attack, Defense 5, 8 attacks. He is Fearless 18 at 160 points. He has Breath Attack 6, Crushing Strength 4, Pathfinder, and Shambling. What do we think of this guy?
He's pretty good, I think. Most of the greater elementals are fairly decent. Sure, they have lower attacks than normal, but it's a square footprint. Usually, I think they're all fearless with a decent nerve there. Usually pretty defensive as well.
160 points is pretty cheap.
Reasonable price, yeah. The difference between this guy and the other elementals is the fire fellas usually have a higher crushing strength, and in this case 4 is as good as you're going to get.
Brutal.
And a cheeky breath attack 6 just before you surge in.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. I think he's great value for 160 points, but I think you almost got to base your list around those. Are you going to take the other unit we were talking about before? What are they called? Just the normal fire elementals with this guy, or are you just going to take one big monster?
Yes, I'll take a combination of both. The horde of standard fire elementals will put out more hurt. Obviously a little bit more expensive, but 10 more attacks is pretty good. Crushing 2 is still pretty good. I like to keep this guy just as a supplementary unit to the fire elementals.
Yeah. I reckon if you're going to take one, take them both, and then you've got choices for your shambling units rather than making it very predictable as to what you're going to do with your shamble or your surge.
Yep. With this army, you have to factor in what monster you're going to choose because there's quite a few
So many
monsters.
of them. Yeah.
And so you need to unlock them and you might run out of room.
I think he's a good choice.
What do you reckon, Sellick?
Yeah, I think once again, if you're going to take that shambling play style, you've got to run at least 3 shambling units and 2 wizards, and I think that's the only way you'd take this guy. But yeah, value for points, amazing.
Well, you would be wrong, Sellick, because I've taken this guy by himself once, and it actually did alright.
Yeah?
Just him and a plain mage with Surge is fine. He's a big beefy fella, and you can just throw him in the front and do a few wounds, then he can spin 90 and surge into something else the next turn. Hit the flank of something. Second round.
It's a good utility, but I think to be really offensive and I don't know, positive, I reckon you would take all 3 of the shamblers.
Alright, seeing as they're monsters and we can't give them items, we'll go on to the next one. Keeping with the theme of Fire Drake. This guy is speed 7, melee 4, defense 5, 8 attacks, nerve of 14-16 at 190 points, giving you a breath 16 monster with thunderous charge 1.
And vicious.
Yes, he gets vicious in Clash of Kings, I think.
Aha! Breath 16 vicious is pretty good. Same points, or similar points as a giant. 14-16 nerve is a little low for a monster. So you can't just throw him willy-nilly into stuff. Defense 5's alright, but it's all about that breath.
I'd be using him as a support unit, sit him behind, height 3, height 2 things, breathe over the top, and then charge when required. That's what I'd use him for. He doesn't have wings like the character version, or can't take wings.
Or can't take wings, yeah. Yeah, I think exactly the same. Take 1 or 2 as a support. You'd almost run 3 lines if you were going to play it like that. You'd have 1 as the chaff, 2 as the support charge, and then the support breath attack over the top. Obviously, you've got to look at your depth on your breath range 12. So.
Speed 7's nothing to sniff at as well, but
I like him.
I haven't taken this guy yet. Usually I'd stick a character on top of him and make him fly.
Fly around, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, as is in the book at the moment, 190 points for breath 16. It's take it or leave it. Add vicious onto it, and now 16 breath attacks with vicious is, I think it starts to get that little bit more value for money, I think.
Yeah. Might have to look for a Fire Drake model so I can try him out. Alright, that's enough of that. Sellick, you've got the Ankylodon battle platform, one of my favourites.
I sure do. So, speed 6, melee 4, range 5, defense 6, one of the first defense 6s. Attacks 10, and it is just 17 on the nerve.
Fearless.
So, fearless, yep, 17, and the points there is 150. So
250.
250. 150 would have been amazing.
That would have been too good.
So this guy's got the throwing weapon, blowpipes, crushing 4, iron resolve, and vicious only for his ranged attacks. And you can actually swap out his blowpipes for firebolt for free.
He's got a different base size to a monster as
He
well.
sure
to a
does.
standard monster.
Yeah, it's 50 by 100. So the chariot size base.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Concerns?
I love him. I like to take 2 of them sometimes. Defense 6 with Iron Resolve and
That's
Fearless 17. it takes a lot of effort to remove it. Crushing 4 for punching things that have defense 5 or 6. The ranged attacks are, it's fine, but it's all about the defense 6 and Iron Resolve, I feel.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a rock hard anvil.
He competes in at least 2 phases of the game, which is great. He might just normally be just a combat thing, but with the blowpipes, I know they're not brilliant, but extra couple of dice to throw.
Yeah, you can move and shoot without worry. What about the firebolts? Would you swap them out?
Swapping for the firebolt, I'm not quite sure. The range is handy. When you're moving, you're going to go to 6s to hit. I think he's got to be moving with the rest of your force. You can't really be sitting back doing nothing.
Because otherwise your range shots aren't really worth their salt. So, I mean, yes, the range on flowpipes is shorter, but you move once and then you shoot it, it's still 18-inch range.
Yeah.
Because you're 6 movement, 12 range. And then the next turn, if you're in range to shoot, you can maybe charge them.
Yeah, I think he's got to be up there with the rest of the units. He can't be sitting back. 250 points for defense. Your only defense 6. I think he's got to be up there absorbing damage for the rest of the army.
Also factor in if you're playing with the Clash of King rules. If you do take 2 of these guys, you're not going to be scoring as many points for the scenarios that require unit strength.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, next. Lakilidon Spoon.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I cannot not pronounce that name.
I've got to introduce them.
This guy is a monster. He's speed 6, melee 5, range 3, defense 4, attacks 5. Nerve is 11/13 at 95 points. Special rules, he has Firebolt, height 2, and he is piercing 1. What are you thinking about this guy? Mobile war machine?
Basically.
Yeah.
Similar stats, like 95 points is your war machine. Range, Firebolt's 18, but you've got your speed 6 to move with it. Height 2 is something that you need to factor in. He's a monster, but he's only height 2.
Yep.
And ranged 3 kind of is the offset to the 5 attacks and only piercing 1. So hopefully you should be hitting things more often. Moving and shooting, that goes to range 4 essentially. So you're just doing a couple of wounds each turn and causing that nerve roll.
Yeah,
95 points is pretty good.
Yep. Your thoughts, Sellick?
No, I think it's exactly that. 95 points. Height 2 is probably the only good thing about it.
Yeah, and like war machines, low nerve, got to be careful of that. But if they're charged by a character, they may survive just because they don't get to triple the attacks.
Yeah,
because he's a monster.
Yeah, there's a bright side to it then, isn't there?
Yeah.
and it does score, by the way. So
Yeah,
war machines normally would have 0 unit strength, so these ones would have 1.
He gets 1.
So, it's a silver lining, isn't it?
So going on with movable monster war machine type thingies, the next one is the Komodo. For 125 points, you get a speed 5, melee 5, range 5, defense 4, 3 attack, 11/13 nerve monster. The range is a bit longer than the other fella, twice as long with a 36-inch range. He's got blast D3 on those 3 attacks with piercing 2 and vicious. Bit better offensively than the other fella, but a bit more expensive, not as maneuverable. Height 4, like a standard monster.
Big target. Well, now he's a monster, but I think you need to take multiple of these to make it worthwhile.
Yep.
2 at the max, that's 250 points. Yeah, I wouldn't, and then you're also competing with the other monster slots.
Yeah, it's like any other war machine though, hitting on 5s. Yeah.
The difference being he's height 4, he can move behind your height 1 infantry and still
shoot over the top.
Yeah, and then in combat you're still getting 3 attacks, blast D3 in combat. So things wouldn't want to charge. Things that take out war machines wouldn't want to charge this
Less
guy
inclined.
without.
Less inclined.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to probably go against it. I love this unit. I don't know what it is, and I think it's probably because Math Hammer doesn't work. There is a possibility that when this thing goes off, 3 attacks, if they all hit, blast D3 with piercing 2 and vicious, well, I can see that doing some pretty significant damage. And I agree with Spoon. You've got to take 2 or none.
Well, I've taken 1, so
Damn
eat it.
What is it with you just taking 1?
I think, I like this figure, I might as well put it in. That gives me some long range, and I don't have to really fret if it dies. I'm not worried about war machine hunters, because it's just one thing.
Yep.
Not like I'm taking a gun line.
I reckon it would be a tricky one to decide what to charge. So normally you like throwaway units, like your fast flyers. You don't really want to chuck in a solo character.
And if you don't take it out, this thing can fight back if it hits.
Definitely.
This still gets crushing 1, doesn't it?
I'd imagine so. It doesn't say it doesn't get it.
It doesn't say it doesn't, yeah. Blast D3 with 3 attacks, crushing 1.
Vicious.
Yep.
Vicious.
Nasty.
Better than a organ gun in combat.
Yeah. Yes.
Gotta remember that parentheses in combat.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Alright, enough of that. How about you tell us about a break that we're going to have right now?
All right. We're going to have a break.
Thanks.
Tens of thousands died in the great journey as the hordes of winter pursued them into the west. Yet more perished as they crossed the frozen seas and the great mountain ranges of Alcazla. Eventually exhausted and nearing the end of their endurance, 3 great smoking peaks rose into the skies before them. Thorlak declared that this was to be their haven. This was the place she had seen in her visions all her life. Here were the kings of fire, and they would offer their protection. The threads of truth are hopelessly tangled in the fanciful tapestry of myth and legend, but the reptilians claim that Thorlak gave herself to the 3 kings, her mind, body, and soul. They speak of how, summoning her most powerful magic, she created a vast shield between the fiery summits of the kings, a crackling vortex made of her very essence. The reptilians grieved for their loss, while all the time cowering behind the barrier that held firm against the onslaught of ice and beast. Decades passed, and as the echoes of Thorlak's voice faded from the ears of the mage priests, so the barrier began to fail. Just as they had feared the shield would finally collapse, the disaster pressing on all sides, Valandor the Great smote winter down. Her death cries echoed around the world, and her power was scattered across the face of the earth in a ripple of baleful energy. Her minions perished as the waves surged through them and slammed into Thorlak's shield, finally shattering it. The magical backwash as energies collided arced into the reptilians in the upper reaches of the Three Kings. The Salamanders, naturally drawn to the thermal vents, bore the brunt of the feedback.
Alright, welcome back everyone. We're going to be jumping in here and picking up the heroes. So first up is the Clan Lords. For 140 points we get a speed 5, melee 3, no range, defense 5 and 5 attacks with the nerve 13/15. Getting crushing strength 2, individual and inspiring, as well as vicious in the Clash of Kings pack. And you can mount him on a Kaizenor, is that right?
That's right, keep going.
Damn it. Mount him on a Kaizenor Raptor mount to increase his speed, and it does change him to a Cav obviously, and you can put in the Firebolt using range 5 for 15 points. Thoughts?
Range 5 for 15 points, that's puts him 155 for 5 attacks, range 5, no.
Yep.
I don't think that's worth it.
No range.
Putting him on a pony's not bad, 170 for a defense 5 fella, thunderous charge 1, speed 8, that's okay. Not fantastic, probably not the best use, but crushing 2, thunderous charge 1.
Yeah, with vicious.
That's getting a bit better. Yeah, maybe take him if you're running lots of fast units, so he can run alongside them and inspire.
Yep.
And dish out a few high defense puncturing attacks.
Yeah.
Reliably, melee 3.
He'll stick around a bit too at 13/15 with defense 5. That's handy, I reckon.
An
Don't-
individual.
Yeah. Don't throw him into can openers, otherwise he'll disappear very quickly.
Otherwise that can will be opened. Yeah. What about your items of magic?
Healing brew,
5
5.1.
points.
Yeah.
Just a once-off. Because
Finish
we're
on the
looking at 170 points at the moment, because we're
Yeah.
putting them on a pony.
on a pony. Yeah, no, nothing else. Gets too expensive otherwise.
Yeah, you could maybe put the loot on him, but I don't know. Depends on the rest of the army. I reckon the healing brew is probably a pretty good item for him.
Yeah. I might go the headstrong item, just because if he does waver early on with some lucky shooting, then at least the rest of your fast units are still going to be inspired because he can keep up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But yeah, headstrong is okay. I wouldn't put anything expensive on him.
No.
So, we've got his clan lord, we've kicked him off his pony, and we've given him the fire drake, because we like things that fly, and are monsters and heroes without the ensorcelled armour. So, clan lord fire drake is speed 7, melee 3, defense 5, 8 attacks, 15, 17 nerve, 235 points, giving him the combination of breath 16 from the fire drake, crushing strength 2 from the clan lord, inspiring, and thunderous charge 1. And you will be paying 45 points for the speed 10 and fly option, because that's what you do with the monster and the hero combo. That puts him on 280 points.
That's a lot of points.
He's not great in combat because of the fewer attacks for 280 points, but you might be able to get flanks.
Yep.
Again, breath 16 with, what is it, vicious that it gets now?
Yeah, he gets it.
Yep.
And that's not to say crushing strength 2 TC1 is bad, but I would prefer to breathe on things first before
Soften them up.
charging. So if we're not taking the defense +1 item, what are we taking? Elite. That's my choice.
Piercing maybe, but even that's getting expensive at 30 points. So what's the 280? So 310 with piercing and flying?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty nasty. It's a very expensive Efreet, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very expensive Ifrit. It was easier to shoot off because of his height.
Yeah, because he's so big. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd go elite because it works in combat and in the shooting.
Both phases. Yeah, and you've already got vicious as the extra bonus. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's probably the pick. And if you can't afford that, the old Blood of the Old King for 1 turn. But then again, you got vicious already, so it cancels
already got
half the
vicious.
effectiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know we've used Healing Brew like 9 times as well, but I think that this guy's a pretty good candidate for it, just to keep him around there. But he's is a lot of points, and I reckon if you keep putting on more points,
I think if you want to try keep him alive, maneuvering is what you're going to be doing, and I don't think you want to give him 5 points for the healing brew. I think you just take healing mages or a character with the healing item or the spell that damages your opponent and heals friends.
Alright, I pose you a question. Would you ever take him without the wings?
No, I wouldn't. I'll be taking Fire Drakes then.
Yeah, just take the normal Fire Drake.
Because he's harder to get in combat. So what you're doing then is you're paying 45 points for inspiring.
Yep,
essentially.
That's it.
And I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to. Clanlord and Fire Drake. He's alright. He's like any other flying character with a breath weapon.
Yep.
And we'll leave it at that.
Yep.
I think we should.
And we're going to move on to the Battle Captain. So this is a hero infantry model. Speed 5, melee 3, defense 5, attacks 4, nerve 11/13 at 75 points, not 175 points. Crushing strength 2, individual. Cool little fighty hero.
Not inspiring.
Yes. That's
No
interesting.
option for a pony.
I think Easy Army just lied to me then.
I think so.
So
Oh,
I'll
really?
cross that one off the list. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't find a place in my lists because he is stuck on foot and he doesn't inspire. And he's not the combat beast I want a little individual to be. Otherwise, I'll just take, say, the Herald.
The BSB.
And then give him the Pendant of Explosion if you want to do some damage.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
No healing charm or Banner of the Griffin. You just
Or Blood of the Old King.
Suicide Bomb.
No, I don't think there's anything that gets this guy into a list.
Yeah, he's just hard to place because he doesn't do anything great.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Battle Captain doesn't have inspiring at all on Easy Army. What was I doing?
I
Probably the
don't
last
know
time I
what
listened
you
to
were
you, Sellick, during our break.
Yeah.
What were you saying during the break that made him put that into your list?
I thought he had inspiring.
Yeah, me
but
too.
It didn't have inspiring.
Yeah. So what else do we do with this guy?
Oh, not too much.
You can't put him on a pony, so he's not fast single chaff.
Does the Vanguard item help you at all?
Not really at speed 5, does it?
No, not really, because he's still not charging anything in the back lines until turn 2, 3. And he's just going to die because it's the low nerve.
Oh, Lord.
He's not giving you points because he's an individual.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah,
Sellick,
next.
Tell us about the Battle Captain on Rhinosaur.
Alright, Battle Captain on a Rhinosaur. So for 135 points, we've got a Speed 7, Melee 3, no range, Defense 5, at 6 attack, 13/15 nerved unit with Brutal, Crushing Strength 2, and Thunderous 2.
So the pony's on roids. It's a better option than the other guy, I think.
Yeah, definitely he's got a few more options of how to use him. I think the Battle Captain on foot, bit of a dud. This guy, you've got some options.
It's kind of like a mini Ancients on Rhinosaur. I mean, not many attacks, but if you're able to get into a flank, which he should be able to do because of the smaller footprint, 12 attacks is nothing to sniff at for TC CS2. Pretty good.
Yep.
And Brutal, adding Brutal into a...
Combat.
Yep, double charge. That'll help out.
Good supporting character.
Yeah, I still don't know what I want to add in terms of items. Can't take spells.
Healing Brew is getting rather old, isn't it?
It is. Healing Brew is the new Warbow.
Yep.
Speed's probably going to be used by something else. You can't take any other offensive items. I don't want to put Elite on him. It's just getting too expensive for the few attacks that he's got. Hand grenades,
Yeah,
maybe?
or the Mace of Crushing.
Or the Mace. Just a ranged attack of some sort.
Where are you putting this guy in your center line? Flanking? What are you doing with him?
He will be just behind the other threatening units or cavalry, just so he's not singled out and taken off. And then he will sneak in for a flank charge the next round of combat.
Yeah, I would also use him out in the flanks, so behind a smaller unit, and then I'd charge him out just to buy that extra turn or two.
You could give him the Griffin
That's what
banner
I was just
for
thinking,
the
depending
rallying.
on where you're putting him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have inspiring, which is a shame.
Yeah, but you can take the BSB equivalent, the Herald, who also gets a pony who has inspiring. He's fairly cheap. You could run him with the Battle Captain, and they're running with Ancients and Kaizenal Lancers.
Yep.
I don't know, that's all I can think of with this guy.
What's up next?
Next, we have the Gecko Tar Clutch Warden. He is the Gecko on foot. Speed 7, melee 4, range 4, defense 4, 4 attacks, 3 attacks, 10, 12, nerve, 85 points. What else does this give you? Blowpipes like the other geckos, individual, inspiring to geckos only. Pathfinder Vicious, also on a 20mm base because he's not a big fella. Again, doesn't have crushing strength because he's not a big fella. And you can give him stealthy for 20 points, which may not be too bad if you know what you're facing, because 105 points for a stealthy individual that inspires your gecko hordes and hunters. But normally I wouldn't take this guy.
Yep, I agree. I think you'd have to have a pretty themed gecko army to even make this viable.
Yeah, because you want to use his inspiring, otherwise he's, 3 attacks with these blowpipes. Sure, you might be able to get something in combat, speed 7, maybe take out a war machine after 2 rounds of fighting.
Yeah.
No, 9 attacks, vicious. Small footprint. No, it's a hard sell. Yeah. Alright, so put him on a bird. What do we get?
Well, we get the Gecko Tar Skylord. So for 130 points, we get a speed 10, melee 3, range 3, defense 4, at 5 attacks, and a 11-13 nerve. Once again, gets the blowpipes, flyer, inspiring only to the geckos, and gets vicious as well, but doesn't get the crushing strength.
So for 45 more points, we're getting a unit that has more attacks, is faster, fights and shoots better, with a slightly higher nerve. That sounds like a bargain to me.
Sure does.
Yeah, I like it.
And this is why I have trouble either taking this guy or choosing between this guy or the Skyraiders, because for 130 points, which is the same cost as the Skyraider Regiment, you're getting something that is it does 1 less attack, but it shoots better and is more maneuverable because it's on just the 50mm base.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this unit.
And inspires, so he can inspire himself.
Handy, especially at 11-13, defense 4.
So he's a fairly reasonably costed War Machine Hunter and Annoyance unit. He's not going to get you any points, so you just throw him in right at the end to block
Support
things from
combat.
getting to objectives, or supporting a combat, because you should be able to get a recharge with this guy. Melee 3, 15 attacks in the rear is pretty good with Vicious.
Yeah, I think if you pick your targets, he'll be handy.
I like this guy with piercing. 160 points, 5 shots, hitting on 3s, no movement penalty. No, it's only piercing 1. Attack away while you're waiting to get the charge.
I don't think it's worth it.
I would take it.
Because it's only 5 attacks.
I know. I'd still take it.
Yeah, you would. Alright. Do I give this guy anything? Not normally. I don't think he needs it. Maybe the something for his nerve, but that's it. Dutch Courage.
Brew of Courage, that one.
Sure, that's it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
How about we move on? Let's get to the Mage Priest.
Alright, this guy is speed 5, melee 4, no ranged attack, defense 5, 2 attacks. Nerve is 10/12 at 90 points. He has elite, fireball 10, and individual. You've got the following options. You can mount him on a raptor, which increases his speed to 8.
Nice avoiding the Kaizenor there.
I did a good job, didn't I? Gains TC1, and he changes to a hero cav for 20 points. You can have Bane Chant 2 for 15 points. You can have Surge 8 for 35 points. And Heal 3 for 15 points.
Lots of different options there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of options.
All with elite.
That's the kicker.
And defense 5 as well. So his nerves 10-12. Defense 5 is pretty good. Definitely take him if you're taking anything with shambling.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got to take the Surge. So he's what, 125? Is that right? Yeah, my maths is right. 125 with Surge. You taking anything else on him though?
Sometimes I'll put him on a pony, but it's not needed if you're taking shambling units because they shamble, so you can easily keep up with them.
Keep up with them, yeah.
If I'm not taking those flamey fellas, Heal is a good choice. Bane Chant also.
I like weakness from the new book. With this list, there's a lot of defense 5, not much 6. All of a sudden, just crashing into that wall and then giving him a neg 1, I think is pretty valuable.
He's going to go with a spell. So you have to pick and choose your spells there because he's got a lot of options that you can give him weakness as well. Yeah, you have to pick and choose. But it does make him a utility belt then.
Yeah.
You can also take, if you take a couple of units of Kaizenors, you can put this guy on a pony, give him Bane Chant, and just make those things do stupid amounts of damage.
Sure can.
Move on.
Other than that, no.
The Pentultimate. It's the Herald.
I guess he's heralding the end of the list. Haha.
I see what you did there.
He's speed 5, melee 4, defense 5, 1 attack, 10-12 nerve for 60 points, individual, inspiring, and you give him a pony for 20 points. Speed 8 and tolerance charge 1 like the other guys on ponies. obvious what this guy does. He inspires. You give him the Griffin Banner to do both inspiring and rally 1, or something else so he can help out the rest of the team because he's not in combat. Range weapons, healing items, support. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, the good thing here is he is defense 5, so that's actually not too bad.
Yeah. And if in doubt, put him on a pony, give him the Pendant of Explosions, run him into something. Okay, Sellick. Tell us about Firebrand 1.
Firebrand 1. So for 120 points, we get a speed 5, melee 3, 4 range, 4 defense with 5 attacks, with nerve 15 as well, so fearless. He is individual, inspiring only to Corsairs. He's got a pistol, piercing 1, vanguard, and whilst he's within 6 inches of a while within 6 inches of Firebrand, friendly non-allied Corsair units are fearless. So I think you did mention this one earlier, Bensome.
So the Corsairs become fearless 12. They're still only defense 4. It kind of makes them survive a round of shooting, which might be okay, but it doesn't really do much else. Vanguard is... I mean, take him and a couple of units of Corsairs and that's a good chunk of your army. But that's a lot of pistol shots as well that they have to break through before the rest of your army can trundle up and smash them. Maybe. I don't know.
I could maybe see these with the big screener, like with the Embers Freights. So use the Embers Freights in front of the Corsairs, and so all of a sudden there's a couple of... So you just spitting at them effectively with your breath attacks.
Short-ranged battery.
But, it's really clutching at straws trying to build an army around a dude, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not all that...
No.
Fearless 15's okay. 120 points is very reasonable for a vanguarding character.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 attacks, melee 3, crushing 1 is okay.
Yeah, I just want him to be a little bit quicker.
I want him to be more swashbuckly, like his lore text suggests he is. What Mantic needs to do is bring out the figures. I want to see some pirate lizards. I think they will sell like hotcakes.
Yar?
But seeing as we can't give him magic artifacts, that brings us to the end of the list for the Salamanders. What we might do to celebrate is have another break. We'll see you soon.
As the great glaciers shrunk back and massive slabs of ice carved away into the rising waters at the foot of the Kings, the Salamanders were stricken with racking spasms as their chemistry was changed, and they writhed in agony as their bodies metamorphosed. Those that were unaffected cowered in fear as their friends and cousins were altered before them. The afflicted had been cursed, and legend says that Winter and Thorlak continue their eternal war, trapped forever in the bodies of the Salamanders. They and their descendants must walk the earth in mortal need of heat and fire, which keeps winter's deathly chill from their hearts.
Alrighty, champs, we're back for the last time this episode. Now that we've gone through the units of the army, how about we talk about the allies and possibly the Salamander deficiencies and what allies can do for us. What do we think? What do the Salamanders need?
Well, I think...
Good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. Thanks for asking. I think what we need is something that is quite mobile, but that can take a punch. I think that's what it's really lacking, say a Defense 5 quick unit that's relatively cheap. I know they've got the Ancients on Rhinosaurs, but they're quite expensive, and something to support them, I think, is something that I'd be looking at.
They don't have a lot of long-ranged shooting either. It's all fairly short.
True.
With some exceptions in the monster category, but they're not all that powerful. We're also limited in terms of the armies that they can take because they're with the good alignment, so Ogre Boomers, Ogre Shooters, or Dwarven Gun Lines. Brock Riders are pretty good because of the high nerve and fearless.
Yeah, that'd be a handy.
They may not be defensive, but it's higher nerve than anything else in the list here, and can put out a lot of attacks. A huge threat in themselves, and you can take the Brock character as well, or
What about,
the Berserk Lord on mount.
Centaurs from nature as a fast moving element. Can take the shooting
they
on.
are fast, but they're not defensive, so they'll just kind of disappear as well. And the shooting ones, I think they don't do very well. It's not like it's a huge amount of shots.
Yeah.
So it could be a waste there.
I'm just having a look at them now. I don't know, kind of hard to fit something in. It's going to come right down to your army build. You're going to have to build your allies to fit. What about Basilian, like Alohi or something?
Basilean, yeah. Yeah, they're pretty tough. Expensive, but they don't really need anything else to babysit them.
I was just thinking the Alohi guys are inspiring as well, so if you're going to take another unit, you've got your inspiring source.
You're kind of close to capped, because I would imagine you're taking a horde of the fellas, and they're 300 points.
Yeah. You might get one more unit in. Maybe some cheeky kitties, maybe.
Yeah, you could do that.
Lucky. I'd just take a unit of Alohi. I don't think you need much more.
Answer to everything now. Just take a unit of Alohi. Yeah. I don't think I can give it any other suggestions for allies other than Dwarven Gun Lines, Alohi, Ogre, ranged units.
Is there anything from Kingdom of Men?
You could probably take the Knights, but and maybe some of the handgunners, but I don't know.
Elven Cavalry, Stormwind. Is that what the heavy cavalry is? Yep.
So yeah, they're solid choice. They've got a lot of output.
Cheaper than the Rhinosaurs.
You could take Drakon Riders, flying, 270 points.
Similar vein as Alohi.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you kind of understand what we're going for there, listeners. So let's move on to the actual lists that each of us have written, and we'll do some comparisons and chat about why they're both crap and mine's the best. Sellick, how about we start off with yours?
I'll start off with my crap list.
Please do.
I've gone... Alright, where do I start? I'll start off with gone a weird list, first of all. Mage Priest first up with Baneshant and Weakness. And I've given the first one Inspiring Talisman. And I've given the second one exactly the same, Baneshant and Weakness. I know that's a lot of points and I'm doubling up, but I love the flexibility in my gameplay.
2 mages.
Yep, so
okay.
2 mages.
Yep.
I've got 2 heralds. One of those is mounted on the Raptor mount with the banner. So that gives me 3 Inspirings total so far. Then I'll go back up into the infantry unit. So I've got a regiment of naked Salamander Primes. I've got a horde of Salamander Primes with the Brew of Strength, so that's going to give them crushing 2, a bit of staying power. And then I get straight into my Gecko Tar Warriors. I've got 3 troops of those that I'm going to use as my screening units. Once again, I couldn't go past the 15 attacks on each of those troops, so they have to be killed, or else they're just going to be a pain in somebody's butt or side. Behind them, in my brain, I've got my hammer. So I've got 2 naked units of Tyrants, purely around the combo charges that I see myself doing. And then Ancients on Rhinosaurs, my real big one. Gonna go with the Blood of the Old King combo. I've only got it once, so that's all good. But I think that this is just going to be really, really handy to bust straight through. I don't want to get held up and cripple a unit. I want to go straight through it. In support, I've got 2 of my Commodons. I think the blast 3 on 6 of those attacks overall, as well as for points wise. I think the unit strength 1 on each of these monsters is going to be pretty handy in the game. And that's it. That is 2,000 square. I don't think I've missed any items there, but yeah, that's me.
So just run through it once more.
Yeah, sure. So a regiment of Salamander Primes, a horde of Salamander Primes with the Brew of Strength, 3 troops of Gecko Tar Warriors, 2 naked hordes of Tyrants, a horde of Ancients on Rhinosaurs with the Blood of the Old King, 2 Commodons, 2 Heralds, one of those is mounted, and with the Banner of the Griffin, 2 Mages, both with Baneshant and Weakness, and one of those has Inspiring Talisman. That's it.
Okay, so fairly solid front there with your Tyrants and your Primes.
Yep.
And your screen at the front, backed up with a bit of punch and support.
I see it like a lasagna. So a couple of harder, that my girlfriend cooks. So hopefully she doesn't listen. So it's got hard center, a couple of cheesy things that'll get in the way, and at the end of it you should have knocked straight through them. I guess not that her lasagna goes straight through people.
The meat's not cooked, maybe it would.
Wow. I'm in a world of trouble.
Yep. I'm not editing that out. Alright, so that was okay. Let's see if you can up that. Spoon, what's your list consist of?
Okay. So to start off, I've got 2 regiments of Ceremonial Guard, naked, a regiment of Gecko Tar Warriors. I was going to put the Sparkstone on them, but I just realised one of my characters doesn't have a pony, so that got scrapped. Moved down to a horde of Tyrants with elite. 2 troops of Lancers, so these are my 2 chaff units that I was going to put alongside my next unit. The horde of Ancients on Rhinosaurs with Caterpillar Potion. Ummed and ahed about speed, because I'm thinking this is probably going to be the flanking force, but Caterpillar won.
Yep.
Then I've got a Fire Drake, which will sit behind my Tyrants behind my Tyrants and Ceremonial Guard, breathe over the top, or fight in combination with. Then I've got the battle platform, which will probably be moving about with my Lancers and Rhinosaurs, hopefully, maybe, or in between the 2 forces. A Herald with the Banner of the Griffin, Mage Priest I've added Heal, and I gave him the Inspiring Talisman, and, sorry, I wanted to give a Horsey to the Herald. I think that's it.
Right.
Oh, no, I've got one more unit. I've got to flick over the page. A Gecko Tar Skylord with Piercing.
Okay, so you went with the piercing?
Yep.
Okay.
Love it.
So just run through it once more.
2 Ceremonial Guard regiments.
Yep.
Gecko Tar Warriors with nothing, just a regiment of those.
Yep.
Tyrants, Horde with elite.
Yep.
2 Lancer troops, Ancients on Rhinosaurs Horde with Caterpillar Potion. Fire Drake, battle platform. Herald with the Banner of the Griffin and a pony. Mage Priest with Heal and the Inspiring Talisman. And the Gecko Tar Skylord with Piercing.
And how do you see it playing out?
So 2 main forces, the Ceremonial Guard along with the Tyrants in the middle, Fire Drake behind. Then I've got the 2 units of Lancers. I don't know where I'm going to put the Gecko Tar Warriors, depends on what's on the other side of the board. And on the other side of the board, the 2 units of Lancers, probably the Skylord and the Ancients, along with the battle platform. So a flanking force with a bit of firepower from the battle platform, and then the centre, which will be the Ceremonial Guard and Ancient Tyrants, rather, with the Fire Drake.
Okay, right.
Breathe over the top.
Quite a bit different.
Don't know if it'd work.
Yeah. I'd like to see you and Sellick take on each other using Salamanders and those lists to see who's coming on top.
A Salamander off.
Yeah.
Have you got enough Salamanders to do it, is the question.
Probably not. Oh, but the lists are quite different. I might actually have enough to split the 2. Anyway, I'll get onto mine, which again is quite different. So I haven't got any of the actual Salamander warriors in there, so I've just gone for the Gecko Warriors, 2 regiments of those, a troop of the Gecko Hunters, horde of Fire Elementals with the Healing Brew, Tyrants horde with the Brew of Courage. I was thinking about Elite with these guys, but I put Elite on something else, and the extra nerve buff will help. Regiment of Kaizenor Lancers with the Potion of Caterpillar for Pathfinder, Greater Fire Elemental, and a Kylodon Battle Platform, 1 Herald with the Banner of Griffin, a Mage with Soul Drain, and Surge. So I was thinking about the heal aspect of Soul Drain, and a Clan Lord on Fire Drake with Blessing of the Gods and Wings, and a Gecko Skylord. If I was to change anything, try and squeeze Inspiring on the Mage Priest. But to do that, I would have to either drop the Hunters for a troop of Gecko Warriors. I guess that's easy enough to do. So it seems like a thin front with just Geckos as the line there. The 2 regiments of Geckos, the Hunters are just there for a screen and possibly annoyance. Punches coming through with the Fire Elementals, the Tyrants, the Lancers, the battle platform will hold things up. The Greater Fire Elemental will also sit on the side of that. And the Inspiring Griffin Herald should keep all of that going, giving the nerve quite a boost. I mean, 16-18 nerve, 16-19 on the Tyrants, plus Brew of Courage and Inspiring, and with a Soul Drain Mage Priest behind that, either healing the platform or the Tyrants, and the Clanlord and Fire Drake will kind of zip around alongside Lancers and kill things.
Burn stuff.
And inspire them.
Nice.
And the Skylord is another annoyance unit, very fast, can get in and get anything small that needs killing, other characters, war machines. Yeah, the best of the 3, obviously.
Yeah, and that's sort of the weakness of my list, actually. So I have no speed.
Yeah, yours is a lot more static, but harder to take off because of all the Defense 5 warriors and whatnot. I don't know. I don't think there's anything else I want to change. That's basically my list most of the time. I like a nice mix of things.
You haven't played them since the update for Clash of Kings?
I have not, no. The last game I played was actually CanCon, so I'm due for another game.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I don't often get out to ring with the other side of the world to play Kings of War. But that is the end of the review. Do you guys have any final thoughts about the list, or the army in general?
Like to see it played on the tabletop again with the new update, but I still find them a bit flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I think their fast things are a bit glass cannon-ish, but the new changes in Clash of Kings should bring them up a little bit. So good luck.
Or maybe the next game I play, I'll take this list, I should save it in that case, and see how it compares to the last time we played, because last time was one of the first times, I think it might have been the first time that you beat me, Spoon, when I was playing Salamanders versus your Abyssal list.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, that didn't go well, did it?
No, it didn't. That's when I stopped playing them. Everything just crumbled. Alright, if we've got nothing else to say, I guess we'll leave it there, yeah?
That's
Yeah,
it.
leave it at that, I think.
Alright, thanks for listening, everybody. Let us know in comments on wherever you listen this to, Facebook, email, whatever.
Twitter.
Yes, we have a Twitter account. We try to respond as fast as we can. And hopefully you enjoyed it. Comments and criticisms, send them through. Maybe improve the next one, if we can improve, because, I don't know, maybe we're peaking here. Anyway. Thanks for listening. We will see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, direct misfire blowing up the game. Talking many war games is our aim. From rulebooks to advice, we cover it all. With the best tactics, we never fall. Bensome and Spoon are your host every vid. Misfiring, but aiming up ahead. Comment, like, and subscribe today, keeping you notified and up to date. Come check us out at facebook.com/directmisfire or shoot us over an email at directmisfire@gmail.com.